There is an official part of the night that we've got to do, and it's Lodge Captain Guest Information Session. Which, when you're showering, keep your door closed. That's because it's on the sheet. Okay, yeah. On the second part of the night, I give people a plant to find. It's a bit of a fun thing, but it's also a way of bringing people together. It's pitting them all against me. And Rhonda, the anemone buttercup. So Barbara Briggs' specialty. Yeah. So that's a special plant up here. We probably won't find one flowering. They're a very early flowering plant. I've only ever seen one flowering up here very early.
That's on the Stillwell track, though, isn't it? They're on the Stillwell track.
Yeah, but there is snow up on the mountain. We saw the snow drifts today, and that's where you're likely to see it. Oh, this is a great one.
Sure it is.
Liz has had this before.
Has she? Oh, good. I know where to go.
It's bog moss. It's quite an interesting plant, sphagnum moss. It's the home of the corroboree frog, and it was used during the World Wars for dressings for soldiers because of its antiseptic properties. Quite an interesting plant.
Whenever it looked like we'd get a good sunset, we went up to the Snowgums Boardwalk at the top of Charlotte's Pass. There are wonderful views from here across to the main range walk.
One of the things I really like about being down here is coming down here with people who haven't been here before and sharing the limited experience that I have and trying to get others who have more experience involved with the new people who've come down here for the first time, and to come down here on a week like this, I'm sure it's going to be a very memorable occasion for them. And that partly is some of the exercises that have been set for them. Another important part of that is to draw on others the knowledge of the area. So, yeah.
I've come from Queensland. I've always wanted to see the wildflowers in Mount Kosciuszko, and luckily my sister-in-law and brother-in-law have been coming here for 20 years, and they're both passionate plant people who know a lot about ecology and plants, and so it was a lovely opportunity to come down and see it for myself, and also to be able to walk some of the trails. So it's been a lovely week. There's so many people here who really know about their plants, and that was one of my worries, I guess, coming here. I love plants, but I don't know much about them, and of course we were all given a task to find a particular plant. So I was very lucky that as soon as I arrived, I buddied up with someone who knew a lot about the particular plant I was looking for, and she's been terrific. She's helped me find it. I was one of those crazy people on the trail who every time I saw a plant that had a white flower, I said, "This is it," and I needed someone who actually knew the ropes and could say, "Well, actually no, you've got to get further up into the Alpine region before you find your mountain celery." So,
hi, my name's Robin Collins, and I'm a good friend of Mari Irving's, and it was 2017 that she invited me to come with her down here. We had a wonderful time walking and playing Rummy King in the evenings, and as most of you would know, Mari Irving passed away in November last year. That was 2022 in Kenya. So this year I decided I'd come, and I brought another friend with me, and we've had a wonderful time here. So I love walking, not so much identifying the plants, but I love the walking in the mountains and the relaxed atmosphere here at the lodge.
What would you have difficulty with it? Was it stairs or just the way to the back?
My back had
This time we've done the Charlotte's Pass to Guthica walk. That's a new walk, and I absolutely loved it, but I was absolutely exhausted at the end of it. When I saw those steel steps walking up at Guthica, I thought, oh no. But it was a beautiful walk. Once again, we've been very blessed with great weather, as we were in 2017. We've had lovely days. We've had evenings that have been clouded in and some rain, but the weather has just been superb, and today looks like another really nice day out there.
Okay, yeah, the pre-planning for the week is long and drawn out. We generally start around about June, and by November most people have got their names in. We have a couple of later people this time, but that's fine. We had room in the lodge. I was getting a little bit worried because this area is becoming very popular in summer, and as we can see, we actually filled the lodge almost last night with extra people coming down. So we had 27 all up in the group, and yeah, that's a really good number to manage. During the year, as we get closer, one of the jobs, I guess, for me as a coordinator is to look at what warnings and so on are out for the park. And I had a bit of a fright in early January where they looked like they were going to close down all the popular walks that we were planning to do in this local area. And that was for aerial culling of pigs and deer. And very hard to object to that, but I sent a soft email off to one of the organisers, and I hope it had a little bit of influence on making sure that it was open for us. So that was really good. But coming up here, I see the amount of work that they're doing on tracks and trails and so on in the remote areas, and the amount of helicopter work they're doing taking material in. They've been very busy through the week just doing that, so the culling might have to wait. On our walks, we did not see any sign of pigs, and I didn't hear any reports of anyone seeing a deer, so that was really good. There might have been a roadkill on the way in, but it was fairly chewed up, but it could have been a deer.
Here with the Australian Plant Society, so we are very keen to look at the plants. And I remember from my previous time here, there are a lot of daisies that look the same. A lot of small yellow plants, small yellow flowers, small white flowers, and it can be a bit overwhelming to try and distinguish them all. So on this trip, I haven't worried too much about identifying every single daisy I've seen. I've just more enjoyed, I suppose, the whole landscape. And a couple of things that I found particularly surprising. Right up near Kosciuszko, when we did our main range walk, we saw a fern. I think it's the Polysticherum, in the least, expected place to find a fern, although I do know they grow in a wide range of habitats, but seeing one there at Mount Kosciuszko really just confirmed that. Another one that was a bit surprising was right down on the Thredbo River at the end of our Sawpit Creek walk. Just as we were crossing one of the fancy new bridges, we saw a Coria lawrenceana, which has a red flower. So there was a whole bank of it. So that was quite unusual to see a Coria and a red flower and quite a large bank of it. And in conclusion, I'd really like to thank and recognise the effort that Aileen Phipps has put into these trips over so many years. I first came down with Aileen. We drove down together, and she really introduced me to the area, and I've come back many times, but it was really Aileen's just attention to detail and just choosing walks and making sure we all enjoyed the plants and learned about the plants as well. So I really am very grateful to Aileen and the many years that she put into bringing the Australian Plant Society down here.
House and my wife Marilyn. Our first trip to Charlotte Pass was in 2001, and this is our 8th trip with the APS to the pass. And each trip we've managed to basically do as many walks as we can. The highlight has always been the main range walk.
Well, my particular flower for this year was Leucochrysum albicans, and I'd already seen it at one spot, but it was in abundance on this walk today, so I could take lots and lots of photos of that particular one, and a few other interesting ones that we stopped at and took photos. In particular, it was Dora's Pimelia albina, which we were really lucky to see because it's such a tiny flower.
But one of the highlights today for me was going to a little drain, a little creek that flows into it, and finding my Galaxias. And boy, have they grown. They're up, probably some of them are up around about 7 centimetres long, 8 centimetres, which is full maturity. But they're there, they're still there. They're the highest known population of Galaxias in Australia.
Just under Kosciuszko.
Just under Kosciuszko. And they're thriving. There's juveniles, there's adults, and I take great pleasure in killing flies, horse flies in particular, and throwing them on, and they have great pleasure in coming up and gulping.
So here we are on day 4. We're looking at the main range, 22 kilometres, not for everybody. On the day we had 13 start off, and we finished up with 12 completing the walk, which is really good, and a wonderful day. It's rare that you get such a great day for that walk. Here we are heading off down to the Snowy, crossing the Snowy, and heading up towards Blue Lake, our first stop. The stop is actually at the lookout, looking down into Blue Lake, and there we can see the view from the lookout. Some people went all the way down to the lake. Alan House had the challenge of finding a granitic erratic, and that's it in the photo. Here we are looking up some of the snowdrifts as we're getting higher up, and they are looking back down into some of the valleys towards Charlotte Pass. Here we are looking out towards Victoria, a Feldmark area, very sensitive area, fenced off to stop people walking on them. New boardwalk has been put in. It's a couple of kilometres long. It's to keep people off the Feldmark areas. Here we are, part of the steep track that goes along past Lake Alpena. And we should have a photo there of the lake looking back and looking back into Victoria. Here we're having a break. That's our lunch spot. And there we are heading off towards Cosy on the stone pavement. Lots to see in detail if you want to get down on your hands and knees. Beautiful flowers. Some people call them crows, but no, they're ravens. They feed on boggon moths up in this high area, along with, lizards and other things. And here we have a group sitting on the late snowdrift. Mount Kosciuszko. There's a lot of work going on over the whole park, and Bruce has been kind enough to give us those photos, and there he is looking at the scenery from the top. We've got the long track back down the road, back to Charlotte Pass. So it's about 7 kilometres. First pull-in place as we're heading back will be at Seaman's Hut. The hut was built in 1929 as a memorial to Laurie Seaman and Evan Hayes, who perished in a blizzard nearby in 1928. 4 or 5 k's from home. It's a lovely little spot to stop and have a short break. I must say, beyond this point, the conversation tends to dry up a little bit as we set our mind to just getting home. Day 6, our last walks day, before we're heading back to Sydney the following day. It's a bit of an unwinder, a short walk, a little bit of a bush bash around the lake.
Coming here.
It's the people, it's sharing views, sharing photographs of what we find, sharing identification skills.
Learning as we go.
Learning and helping each other find our dedicated plant. Because sometimes you get allocated something that isn't in flower and it's very, very difficult to find. But everybody chips in and helps where they can, as happened with Marilyn today, helping Dora find hers. But yeah, the people, the atmosphere, it is laid back here at Pygmy Possum.
And just coming with people who share some of the same interests that you know, who don't mind strolling along slowly on walks so you can look at the plants and just that sort of thing. Take photos. They all appreciate and realise that they're interested in that sort of thing too.
It's wonderful.
And the other thing, of course, is that sometimes when, as photographers, I spot something, take a photograph and everybody says, oh, that's interesting, I'll take it. And somebody says, oh, that's interesting, I want a photo too. Or I'm on the back end of somebody else finding something that's interesting. And one of the things yesterday we found was a grasshopper that, gee, the colours in it, absolutely stunning. And I can put up some photos of that. But there were people finding grubs, insects, plants, and they share that knowledge. They say, look what I found. Okay, you take your photo, then get out of the way and I'll take mine.
Thank you. So it's just a wonderful experience to be here amongst people who share the same interests, and,
That's right.
and we thoroughly recommend
And it's such a
coming
beautiful
if you have
place
an
to be in.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So thank you both very much for agreeing to be interviewed.